If the church bell rings after midnight, it's not for you. There's a chapel on the edge of town that time forgot. No address. No Sunday service. It just sits there, silent and crouched like something waiting to be unburied, past the rail yard and behind the last working streetlight. People avoid it without thinking. Even the crows don't perch on its crumbling steeple, and kids don't dare each other to break in. It's the kind of place everyone knows is there, but nobody ever talks about. And yet, some nights, only the deepest, blackest ones, you'll hear it. A single bell chime. Soft, distant, almost like a memory brushing the back of your neck. If you're unlucky enough to be outside when it happens, you'll know. Because the sound doesn't echo, it stays. Heavy. Waiting. I was 17 when I first heard it. Just off work, walking past the tracks with my headphones in, trying not to think about school or my mom's yelling. The moment the chime hit, my music cut out, dead silence in my ears, and that sound threaded through my ribs like a steel wire. I stopped walking. The air felt wrong. Pressurized, like a storm about to break. And then I saw it, just past the fence, the chapel. A faint light behind its boarded windows. A shadow moving slowly beneath the bell tower, long and bent and shuddering like it didn't quite know how to be human. I ran. Full sprint. No shame. And when I got home, my grandfather was waiting. I must have looked pale because he didn't even ask. He just sighed, opened the old kitchen drawer, and pulled out a torn piece of paper with 7 rules on it, written in faded ink and trembling hand. He didn't tell me where he got it. He just said, "These keep you breathing. Break one, and you'll wish you hadn't." The first rule was simple: if the bell rings after midnight, go inside. Immediately. Don't investigate. Don't look back. I didn't need convincing. That thing I saw in the steeple wasn't something you chase down. The second was worse: if you're near the chapel when it rings, do not run. Do not breathe. Let it pass through you. I asked what it meant. He wouldn't answer. Only that people who panicked were unmade in ways that couldn't be reversed. Rule 3 chilled me the most: if you hear footsteps behind you within 1 minute of the bell, don't turn around. You're not being followed. You're being remembered. He looked me dead in the eyes when he said that. Whatever's behind you was never meant to exist where it is now. A month passed. Then 2. I stopped thinking about the bell. Until Theo went missing. Theo was the kind of guy who didn't scare easy. We grew up sneaking into basements, poking around abandoned motels, chasing ghosts for laughs. But the night he vanished, he left a voice message on my phone. Just 5 words: don't listen to the bell. I played it over and over, and each time it sounded more warped, like the voice wasn't his by the end. Like it had stretched into something that only pretended to be Theo. I found his phone the next morning, lying just beyond the chapel's fence. Still playing music. Still warm. I broke Rule 5 that day: never step onto the chapel grounds at night. The gate was open. The path overgrown. Every step I took felt like my name was being whispered backwards. I reached the heavy wooden doors, cracked open just enough to let breath out. Inside, it was darker than dark, but the pews were filled. Not with people. With copies. Reflections of people I loved. Faces I hadn't seen in years. My mother, asleep in her robe. My teacher from 3rd grade. Even Theo, seated in the front row, staring blankly at a blackened altar where the bell sat. It rang again. No sound, just pressure. My ears popped. My legs locked. Every head turned at once, mouths open wide in impossible O's. Their eyes were wet. Hungry. As if they were waiting to be filled with someone else's soul. I backed out slowly, hands shaking, and turned to run. But the hallway stretched longer with every step. The walls bent inward, pulsing like lungs. When I finally burst outside, the air hit me like ice water. Behind me, the chapel door was closed. Theo never came back. His house is still empty. His parents moved out without packing. It's like he was erased and the space he left behind is slowly collapsing inward. The worst part? The bell has started ringing before midnight now. No longer 1 chime. Sometimes 2. Once, it rang 3 times. The paper only had 7 rules. There should have been a rule 8, if the bell rings more than twice, start digging your own grave. I don't sleep much anymore. I don't go out after dark. The paper lives under my pillow, creased and stained. I've seen people on my street disappear overnight, gone from photographs, forgotten by neighbors, names slipping like smoke from memory. And always, I hear a soft chime the night before they're gone. I think the chapel is growing hungrier. And I think it's waiting for me to forget the rules. Just once. That's all it takes. One mistake. One moment of forgetfulness. I made it last week. It was late. I was bone tired from work, my head swimming with static. I stepped off the bus and realized too late that I'd taken the long way home. The tracks were to my right. And beyond them, through the fog, the chapel stood with its skeletal bell tower silhouetted against the moonless sky. I froze. My hands went cold. That same thick silence poured into my ears, the kind that wraps around your spine like a hand that's been there the whole time. Before I could even move, it rang. One deep, metallic note. Except this time, I was too tired, too slow. I turned my head. And I saw it. It wasn't the shape in the tower. It was the shape outside of it. On the ground. Standing on two legs, but bent in ways that didn't make sense, like someone tried to build a person out of memories and got all the angles wrong. Its arms were too long, fingers dragging along the gravel, knuckles soaked in something too dark to be mud. It had no eyes, but it turned its face toward me, and I knew with every inch of my marrow, that it could see. Not just me, but through me. The sound of the bell hadn't faded. It was still vibrating in my chest like an echo that refused to leave. I didn't run. I couldn't. That thing raised its head, opened a mouth that split vertically, and let out a sound I didn't hear with my ears. It was deeper, beneath hearing, somewhere in the core of the world. The street cracked at its feet. The air warped. And behind my eyes, I saw the pews again. I saw myself seated, hands folded, eyes blank. Just another reflection waiting to be remembered. I blinked. And the creature was gone. So was the chapel. So was the fog. But I haven't been alone since. It follows me now. Not in the streets or outside my window. Inside. In mirrors. In the space between frames of security footage. I caught it on my laptop screen last night, reflected in the blackness before a video played, standing behind me in a way that made my spine bend the wrong way just from looking at it. It never moves while I'm watching. But I know it gets closer. My cat refuses to enter my bedroom. My fridge door swings open at night. I keep hearing heavy breathing beneath my floorboards, even though I live in a third-floor apartment. Last night, my doorbell rang. 3 slow times. No one ever visits me. I looked through the peephole, heart trying to claw its way out of my throat, and saw nothing. No, not nothing. I saw the chapel's bell. Just the bell. Sitting alone on my doorstep, like someone had placed it there as a gift. When I opened the door, it was gone. But I could still feel the weight of it in the air, in the walls, in the blood behind my eyes. I didn't sleep. I didn't blink. And when the morning came, my reflection smiled at me before I did. It's waiting for me to hear the bell again. And when I do, when it rings just once more, I don't think I'll come back from it this time. Not really. Because this thing, whatever it is, it doesn't take you all at once. It unthreads you. Slowly. Gently. Until one day, you wake up in the pew. And someone else answers the bell in your place. Just once. And that's all it takes. The unraveling doesn't come with screaming or blood or flashing lights. It's quieter than that. Like breath caught in your lungs for too long. Like realizing the face in the photograph has changed, not suddenly, but subtly, eye shape off, smile too wide, a hand resting on their shoulder that was never there before. The scariest part is how easy it becomes to accept. How the wrongness settles into the furniture, seeps into the walls, lives behind your reflection like it was always meant to be there. I don't remember what my real voice sounds like anymore. When I speak now, there's a delay. Not just on recordings. In my own ears. Like the world is playing me back with a half-second lag, testing whether I'll notice. My mouth moves, and my words come after. The lights in my apartment flicker, not all at once, but one by one, as if something's walking past each bulb and breathing on it. I started writing things down to keep track of what was real, but the handwriting changes. It's familiar, yes, but wrong. Like someone copying my thoughts from memory and getting the slope of the letters slightly off. Last night, I found dirt under my nails. Not just dirt. Soil. Heavy and damp, like it came from deep underground. I haven't been outside in days, maybe weeks, but it clings to my hands no matter how many times I wash them. I woke up with twigs in my hair. A splinter under my tongue. My reflection doesn't mimic me anymore. It lingers. Stares. Smiles a moment too late. I caught it blinking while I didn't. This morning, I watched the sunrise, hoping it would burn all this away. But there was no sun. Only clouds, heavy and unmoving. And above them, The faint silhouette of something massive, a crooked bell tower rising through the sky where it shouldn't be. Hanging there. Still. Waiting. No one else sees it. Of course they don't. Their eyes are still theirs. Mine, I think, had been watching that tower for a long time now. Longer than I remember. I heard the bell again. Not outside. Inside. Underneath the floor. Just one deep tone, like someone striking bone with metal. I sat down at the kitchen table and waited for the sound to fade, but it didn't. It stayed. It pressed. The whole apartment seemed to tilt toward it. And in the corner of the room, beneath the hanging light bulb, the air began to fold inward. It didn't shimmer. It didn't move. It just bent, like reality was making room for something. For someone. Then I saw myself. Sitting across the table, wearing the same clothes, same tired face, same tired eyes. But the smile, that wasn't mine. That was its. My reflection had come out of the mirror. It didn't need glass anymore. It just needed a door. I didn't speak. It didn't either. We sat like that, staring, while the bell's tone droned on beneath the floor. And then it leaned forward. Just a little. Just enough. And I understood something terrible. I hadn't been me in a long time. Whatever I am now is just what's left, the echo, the afterimage, the thing that stays behind to wait for the next chime. Because that's the truth the rules don't tell you. The bell doesn't take your body. It takes your place. You're not taken. You're replaced. And if you're reading this now, if you ever hear a soft bell chime in the distance and feel the air pressing around you like a hell breath, don't turn toward it. Don't listen. Because the thing that did is already sitting where you are. And it's smiling. Just once. And that's all it takes.